have access to information that I don't have? Show me. It's similar to when I talk to leaders, I say, venture capital, the amount of venture capital that women receive is 2.2%, just women in general. Now, when we talk about Black women, it's 2.2%. We talk about Hispanic, Latinx women, it's less than that. It's like 0.1%. Indigenous women, even less than that. So when we start looking at that, I also then look at what exposure and access do women, or definitely Black women, Hispanic, Latinx women, Indigenous women, have to these spaces so that they can even actually gain the venture capital that they need. How many people know not to just sell off equity, because you're essentially just selling off of your business? When do you do it? See, people don't have that knowledge, and knowledge is power. So if people don't have that knowledge, they're in the same situation living paycheck to paycheck. Education is on the top of my list. It's always been. I'm blessed to be in a situation where, I have a 2-year-old and 3-year-old, and I'm able to send them to an incredible daycare where they're already learning different languages and everything, right? Like they're just way ahead of their time.
Do you know that telling a story is one of the most powerful ways to connect with your audience? Do you know that the human brain processes story much more easily and quickly than facts and figure? Stories are a great way to engage your audience, get them interested in your products and services, and inspire them to take action. A good story will help you create more compelling content that can be shared on social media or through other channels. And it's not just about telling a compelling story, it's also about knowing how to tell it effectively. Now, do you want to better connect with your audience? Then join us on our online training class, Storytelling for Content Creators and Digital Entrepreneurs. Come to obehiair14.com/storytelling and learn how to leverage your storytelling skill to earn more as a content creator and digital entrepreneur. Storytelling is a powerful way to connect with your audience, so let's explore it together. See you in the class.
But I'm blessed in that way. I know other people don't have the access to that. So my thinking is like, okay, well, with my children knowing this, how do I set up my children so that they can teach the same thing that they're learning to their friends that may not have the same access that they have? How do I make sure that I'm even learning from my kids so that I can then teach that for free to those that may not have it? Just the other day, I took my children to the park down the street, and there was a woman that came up to me, and her daughter is mixed, so half Black, half white, and so she has like coily, curly hair, and it was all matted up because she didn't know. She's a white woman. She didn't know the right products to put in her hair, so she kept on putting gel in her hair, and it got so matted up. And she said, I don't know what to do. I said, come to my house. Let me do your daughter's hair. Let me show you the products that you need to use. Again, education. It's free. Let me show you the products that you need to use in your daughter's hair to make sure that you don't mess up her hair. You don't have to cut her beautiful hair off, right? And the little girl identifies as Black. Even though she's mixed, she identifies as Black, right? And so I'm doing her hair. I'm taking the knots out of her hair, and you see the excitement that came to her face because her hair was now, it had the right products in it, right? For the texture of her hair. That's education. So I think oftentimes when we think about taking action, people think about it on a grand scale. It's like, no. What information that you know that you haven't exposed someone else to? Do they have to beg you for it? Are you just in your own bubble of those that are wealthy as well? Or are you exposing that information to other people?
Thank you so much for that. That is very, very important. In fact, it's at the center of what we do here. All right, now let me just explain it to you in few seconds. This project actually is coming from a research into the presence of Africans in northern Italy. At the end of the research that took us a couple of years, what we find is that though a lot of people are complaining all the time of the systemic racism and all of that, what we in our analysis, there are a lot of people who are qualified in the community, who have got quality education maybe before they came from Africa, because we're looking at immigrant demography, African immigrant in this part of the world. So it was in reaction to that that we decided to create an e-learning platform, aclasses.org, where we bring in knowledge that people can tap into and they do something for themselves. Because you don't really need, it's not everything that you need somebody to do for you. There are some things that you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, it requires knowledge. You need to understand that there are certain things you need to do. If you don't do that, you're going to remain in your bubble. So I really thank you for sharing that. Now, that leads me to another important question, which is collaboration. Because like you also were saying before, within the diaspora African community, in this case, we can look at the United States, there are some people that are well off. They are very good in their area. Some of them are very technically perfect. Some of them have a lot of money. So in the helping each other, let's even cry on our shoulder if we have to. Let's help ourselves. How do you think we'll be able to collaborate? I'm not saying come and take your money and distribute it to people, but how can we share this knowledge among ourselves so that other people can rise from the dust?
I think it's just that. I think it's sharing knowledge. I think it's us talking about, and those people that do have the wealth and the riches and all of that, right? Being able to share, hey, here's how I failed. Here's what I learned from it. Here's what not to do. Here's the path that you should consider. Here are introductions that I can make. You know what I mean? Introductions that I can make. And when I make this introduction, you go ahead and you sell yourself. Sometimes all it is being exposed and having the access to just being in a room, right? Just having the access and being in a room can do wonders for someone's career. It can do wonders for someone's legacy. It can do wonders for the way in which they even behave. So providing that access, and I think that's a part of collaboration. It's saying, it may not be, oh, I'm going to collaborate with you to create a business. Maybe that person's not there and that's their personal opinion. But it could be, well, I'm at the stake to where I want to pay it forward. I've reached a certain level, so I want to connect you with these individuals. Oftentimes, I think the sad part for me is when I see those that have attained a level of wealth, they are on a level now and they're not thinking about, okay, well, let me at least provide this insight or exposure to my people. That part is always hard for me. And I get it. Not everyone wants to be in that role to have to give. But I do also feel if we're not a part of the process of giving to each other, then we're also a part of the problem too.
Now, I want to believe that you are not going to resolve all the problems in the world. No, it is not possible. Now, look at the community that you are working with, the people that you talk to. What are the challenges that actually face them that you would like to prefer solution to? Or you can say because like I said, you cannot solve all the problems in the world. But what are the main challenges facing the people that you are dealing with, the African diaspora community in this case?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, so I do a lot of work within the workplace. And oftentimes it's being microaggressed, being macroaggressed, being not listened to, being not invited in a room to even give their perspective, overlooked, not thought about in terms of their career progression, not thought about in becoming the next C-suite leader, not even considered, having to do extra work and be extra while their counterparts are just mediocre. and really just not seeing themselves propel in the way that they should be propelling and respected as well. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that I hear. And what I say to that is it's really important because oftentimes, working within these organizations, if someone has experienced something terrible or they're coming from a level of trauma, they leave to the next organization, they're bringing that trauma with them. And oftentimes what happens, the human behavior side is when you have a level of trauma, you start to close up. You close up, you close up. And to the point where you don't want to communicate with anyone, you don't really trust, and you're just looking for when the next bad thing is going to happen. And that doesn't do anyone good. It's not igniting at all. And so oftentimes what I like to do is create what I'd like my career plan to be. And when whoever I'm reporting to, I share that with them. Hey, here's what I'm expecting here, but can we agree to this path? And then what I do is I send it in writing. So I'm very big on following up. I'm also very big on creating these relationships as well. In one of my former organizations, I'll say that it was a white man, the CEO, that was one of my biggest advocates. White man and a white woman. My manager and the CEO, one of my biggest advocates, to the point where my former manager, she's the one that said to me, Netta, she's like, you have something so special. You need to start your own company. I was like, really? I'm still working. She's like, start your own company. You continue to work. Then the CEO said, Netta, I'm going to invest. You're such a great speaker. I'm going to invest in a coach that'll help. Like those are people, when I talk about education, when I talk about exposure, right? Those are people that want the best for you. And that can come in all shades, right? And so, but a part of it too was for me to say, okay, I had trauma within my former organization, but now I'm in this organization. I got to give these people a chance.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, I got to give these people a chance, and I got to build this relationship. And I remember when joining the company, I wasn't a senior level person, but I said, I'm going to build a relationship with the CEO, even though I'm not reporting to him. At some point I started to, but I'm going to build a relationship. And I saw how quickly my career propelled as well. So a large part of it too is us building relationships, us opening up, and letting people in.
That's great. Now, because we are looking at the concluding part of it, at the solution part of it, I'm trying to wonder if storytelling can have a role to play in the conversation that we are having today. Because looking at the community, looking at the trauma sometimes that we have, because of where we are coming from, if you see, if I don't know what kind of role you think storytelling can play here.
Yeah, I think storytelling plays a huge role. I'm big on storytelling. I think the way that I've been able to positively influence people to drive action when they didn't feel like they needed to do anything or didn't know what to do was through my story. It was through them just knowing, oh, okay, I like Netta. I care about Netta. And oh my gosh, Netta was impacted in that way. This is why Netta does this work. Okay, I got to do something because this is not right. It was through the power of my storytelling. So yeah, I definitely think it's storytelling is huge to connect with people, and even just to create and build that relationship, because then people start relating to you, or people don't relate at all and say, okay, I'm missing out on something. My childhood was not like that. I never experienced that. Therefore, I remember someone saying to me, like, Netta, I hold so much privilege that I never even knew I had. I never experienced that. You experienced that at the age of 7. Your mother had to experience that. This is what has you in this path. And I'm walking around here not doing anything. I never said anything. I never even advocated, and I thought by staying silent, I was doing something. It was that self-reflection from that person came out of the storytelling that I share.
Thank you for that. There are power in story. And of course, as Africa, we must understand it, that there is a power in the telling of our story.
Yeah.
All right, now, storytelling and also the proliferation of hateful idea is what usually drag people into the drama that we are seeing every day.
Mm-hmm.
It is hurting us. It is hurting us, all of us. So the question for you is, what do you think maybe can be done as at the level of the society to limit this hateful idea? Because since you are working for a society that should be equal, where everybody should be treating each other with respect. You don't need to need that from me, but just treat me as a human being. How can we reduce that hateful ideology that is circulating?
Yeah. Well, I always like to start off with the workplace because that's where I do most of my work. You get people from all walks of life in the workplace from various experiences. And I think it really starts off with accountability. Within the organization that I work in, what I did was I along with my team, we've created a DEI application that allows every single employee to add how they're driving impact. So we have things that they have to select from, and the technology will even ping them when they haven't put anything in. Also, the CEO, I've worked with the CEO, and he approved that the DEI application key performance indicators are going to be tied to every single person's performance. So, if you don't perform well, if you don't complete it, right, then it hits your bonus, it hits your pay, it hits the way in which you climb the ladder. And so that's all really, really important. And that's the work that we're doing. So I think a large part of this is accountability.
All right, thank you. So what would be your final statement here to conclude it?
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing here is that we can't stay silent. No one can stay silent, right? These things have to be brought up. And I think oftentimes they're going to be moments of frustration and exhaustion. And that's okay. When you are exhausted, take the time for yourself to just relax, to unwind, to breathe in and breathe out, but find your tribe. Find the people that are going to pour into you so that you can pour into them. Share as well. Share the things, share your knowledge, share what you know. That is really, really important for us to create the impact that we want to see for each other.
Thank you, dear Netta. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care.